in another. And quite a lot of them also who are also on export will not be able to use their export proceeds very well in terms of making sure that they produce. So going forward, one of the things that will be very, very important is the right mix, right mix of fiscal, monetary, and trade policies. They must harmonize, because if you don't have harmonization of those policies in place, we're going to have a problem. And I see, if you look at what the President Buhari said about economic recovery, I think we must recover first. Once we can recover, then we can talk of growth. And I believe definitely if we can, based on the plans in the budget, the key thing is implementation, faithful implementation of that budget. But if you still look at the budget in terms of, especially if we can address, I've been listening to the issue of the oil sector. If we can address the oil sector, especially now that is interested in engaging the militants, that also will help us in terms of getting a required volume, taking advantage of the increase in price now, which definitely will increase our inflow in terms of the forex.
Mr. Oyetayo, you mentioned the Industrial Revolution plan, you know, for industry players yet to see a clear articulation of this particular plan. But if we're looking at recovering in 2017 and achieving growth as well, how do you think that the Industrial Revolution plan, which was actually launched a few years ago, can actually tie into the aspirations of the 2017 budget?
Yes, if you look at, if you listen very well with the President's speech, he mentioned some industrial parks, which actually will be very part of the plan, and definitely will be one of the things that actually will catalyze the growth we are talking about, the recovery. I'll talk about the recovery first, because if you don't recover, there is no basis for us to be talking about growth. So that's also particular. And you see, key important thing is the trade policy. It's consistency for investors to have confidence, and also the ease of doing business, and which government is taking. President's promise to send a bill to the National Assembly in respect of business processes, making sure that the business processes, I think that bill is very, very key in terms of ease of doing business, because if we don't get our ease of doing business very well, we are going back to square one. So the ease of business is still part of the trade policy, is part of the issue of the, and I believe the government, and coupled with the fact that the executive is now engaging the legislature is very, very key. Because one of the major problems last year, we have the division between the executive and the legislature. So things that they are supposed to bring into the, what they call it, to the table for the two of them to clear is having a problem. So I think the issue of ease of business will take a quite substantial part in clearing some areas of disagreement.
But then you see, one would say that the strategies that need to be put in place are not new.
Yes.
There are strategies that have been looked at over time by the various administrations, by various organized private sector groups and the rest of it. But then, looking at a marketing drive for 2017, do you think that these other plans should be revisited, tidied up a little bit, or new plans should be brought to the table? 2017 is, well, another year for us to try to reposition ourselves in the industry and make good.
The critical issue in our plan and our planning process is more the sincerity in terms of implementation. Everybody is looking at, if a plan comes in, everybody is looking at where am I going to benefit from it and what am I going to do, even to sidetrack to the plan, to make it work in such a way that to be effective and deliver the result. So once we have a sincerity, and if the government is also can take the issue of anti-corruption with good intentions and making sure that, because whether we like it or not, the corruption issue, anti-corruption issue is working, and it reduces, at least people have fear in their minds and making sure that they're going to, but we must make sure that those things are fully implemented.
So what does LCCI intend to do this year? It's, let's just say, it's a fresh start.
Yes.
And your group, that's the Trade Promotion Board, actually has a lot of roles to play, especially in terms of positioning the organized private sector to work very closely with the government at this time.
It's one of the key also area where we're doing, and what we've done last year and we continue to do, is engaging the government. Because advocacy, we're taking advocacy to another level in such a way that we let government, because we are representing the organized private sector, we are letting government know where shoes are pinching. And it's for the government also to participate, to engage with us, because one of the things that everybody agreed last year lacking, everybody's talking about the economic team. And when you look at the economic team issue, it's more like government sector. And it's time for government now to say, look, I want mixture of the two. Yeah, government might say, okay, look, I have fears that by the time we're talking about this policy, some members of the economic team will have gone to implement it one way or the other before the policy come into light. But at the same time, there's a kind of a trust between the government and the private sector to make it work.
All right. Mr. Shola Oyetayo, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Mr. Shola Oyetayo is the Chairman, Trade Promotion Board of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Well, Business Morning continues after this. Stay with us.